Good morning, Sunray community. I will welcome you to 2018-2019. We've had a great first week of school. We wrap up today at 3 o'clock with school, and we look forward to an amazing year. We're going to look up, and it's going to be May. Tonight we have a scrimmage at Clarendon, and then the cross-country team will be running tomorrow in Canyon. So you got a lot of activities going on. Of course, with school starting up, there will be a lot more activities. And we just look forward to a great year. That was evident when we had Meet the Bobcat. I want to reach out and thank Jonathan Zerby. He's the president of the Booster Club and the Booster Club overall for sponsoring that. We had hot dogs and water and chips, and it was just a great community experience to see everyone there. And as always, it's great to recognize our kids as we move through this. Coach Strickland has changed the pep rally schedule. Instead of having pep rallies every Friday, we're only going to have pep rallies on our home games. And so we'll still release school at 3 o'clock every Friday, just like we always do. But those pep rallies, if you'll get on Facebook, you can see that pep rally schedule. The other thing I want to talk about is the grants that we've received. We applied for, and I want to reach out and thank Jeannie Miller for completing the application. She did a great job. But we got a grant from the Texas Rangers and Globe Life Park for $8,200. The maximum grant they give is $10,000. We were recognized on August the 17th at the pregame ceremony. Coach Graves, who is our baseball coach, and his wife were down there and received that grant, and that's to be used for baseball startup supplies. This week we received a technology grant, close to $37,000, to be used for the implementation of our robotics program, to be used for our digital technology, digital media class at the high school, and also to expand the Chromebook program into the lower grades. And so we're thankful for those grants in those two areas. We have two new scoreboards, and I want to reach out and thank Valero, the refinery, for sponsoring the baseball scoreboards. Those two scoreboards will be put up before the end of the fall semester. The softball scoreboard was sponsored by the City of Sunray and the United Petroleum Service. And so we want to thank those entities for sponsoring those scoreboards. Those are really nice scoreboards. And once we get them up, we'll take some pictures and publicize that as well. We also want to reach out and thank the band boosters. Last year they made a donation of $10,000 to help us with the purchase of new band uniforms. Those new band uniforms, it takes a while to get band uniforms made, and so I believe we're supposed to have those in by mid to late October. It amazes me we continue to have community support. New Star Energy, I want to thank Tyler Drennan and them at New Star Energy. They reached out and gave us $2,500 to buy band windsuits. When the band's not wearing their uniforms, they're going to be wearing their windsuits. And so we continue to have corporate sponsors and different things like that to support your school on top of your tax dollars. And as a school superintendent, I just want to reach out and thank everyone. It makes our job a whole lot easier when we have some financial resources outside of the state funding and our taxes. And so we just thank everyone for that. To spend a few minutes talking about state funding. Over the last 2 years, the district has lost about $1 million in additional state funding. And what happened is the state legislature several years ago, many years ago, was flowing money to districts across the state of Texas called additional state aid for tax reduction. If you remember, the tax rate used to be $1.50, and they bought that down to $1.04. That's your maintenance and operating tax. If you look at your tax statement, you're going to see two different types of tax. You're going to see INS tax and maintenance and operating. The INS tax is what we used to make the bond payments on the last two bonds that we passed. The $1.04 is what we use for the day-to-day operations of the school district. And what that means is that $1.04 is equal now to state funding. And the way the state funding is driven is by attendance. And so when you begin to look at that, you ask, how did the school lose that type of funds? Well, that's not Sunray. It's across the state of Texas. The state legislators have decreased the amount they fund public schools to about 32%. So what that means is that the rest of the funding of the public schools is on the local taxpayers, and all districts across the state of Texas are reeling from the decrease in state funding, but the expectations continue to increase. And so it's very taxing at times to make everything balanced. But one of the areas that's happened over time at Sunray is when they removed the additional state aid for tax reduction, about $1 million over the last 2 years, we had to compensate for that. We reduced in some areas, we finished up some capital projects. That's why we did so much last year, is we wanted to get all of our capital projects completed, whereas we go forward into this year, in the future years, is that we don't have big capital projects facing us. And other than working on the football field, and we're doing that over the course of the next 4 years, just addressing the sidewalks and just like the fence and the track and different areas like that. And that way we continue to address our capital project needs without having to have a bond election. Sunray's tax value and the amount of taxes, the amount of revenue we receive from the taxpayers equals, if not is a little higher than what we receive from the state of Texas. So that you've got two funding formulas that fund our local school district. The attendance issue is huge. Last year, when we started the school year off, we had a 98% attendance rate. By the end of the school year, we had a 95% attendance rate. The difference between those two is a little over $200,000 in state funding that was lost by the district because of the attendance. The state allows you to take attendance during second period and fifth period, which is around between 9 and 10 o'clock, and around 1 o'clock, between 12 and 1. School district adopts here we take attendance at 9 o'clock. So here's what happens. A child who is absent before 9 o'clock and comes into school after 9 o'clock, the child is here for attendance purposes for their credits and the rule of attendance that the state of Texas has, but they're not here for funding. And I'll just put this out to you. Every time a child misses school, other than an extracurricular or school-sponsored activity, it costs the district 7 cents a minute. So basically, every time a child is absent from school, it averages out to about $35 a day. Now, children who are in career and technology classes, our special programs classes, those attendance dollars are higher than just a regular education class. And so what I ask you to do, and I reach out to you, is that each time your child is absent from school, it costs the school district about $35 a day. And yet it costs the school district a reduction in funding. We still have the costs that are associated with running the school. So we have attendance incentives built into the school day. We have academic tutorials built into the school calendar that are toward the end of the school year, and we'll talk about those in more detail. But at your campuses, you can ask your campus principal about the attendance incentives. Basically, it's a twofold. When a child is out of school, the school district is not funded for that child being out of school. The flip side about that, anytime a child is out of school, they're not reaching their educational achievements, because you can't educate a child when they're not in school. So it's very important to have your children in school. The last thing I want to touch on is the school safety issue. We are in the process. We met last night. We have a community school safety task force. I'm going to be covering some things that we're doing in that. We are working toward, before Thanksgiving, of setting up a community forum about school safety. But what I will tell you is that we are not going to arm teachers or staff members. We're not going to do that. But what I will tell you we are doing is we're going to continue to increase the secure access points that we have at our school. We're going to continue to evaluate those, and we're going to continue to work together with our local law enforcement and the city and the county as we build a safe environment for our school. But what I'd invite you to do is that anytime you find something or you see something that you think is not right around the school, please contact us and we'll address it. So once again, it is always a great day to be a Bobcat. Sorry for the length of this video. It's the first one of the year. I wish all of you a good year. And once again, if you ever have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact me.